Hi everyone, this is Arvind from MindMajix, and today I welcome you all to this amazing video on cloud computing interview questions. Okay, so guys, this was one such topic around which we have been receiving maximum requests from our viewers. So we decided to come up with this video, and in this particular video, we will be covering maximum questions that are actually asked in the interview. Okay, so this is the whole idea, or you can say the agenda behind this video. Okay, so without any further delay, let's get started with our first question. Okay. So guys, the first question is very basic one. So what do you mean by cloud computing? So basically cloud computing, you can call it as a process or an idea of renting or delegating computing resources from dedicated servers and cloud providers over the internet. Okay. So services can be storage, web servers, infrastructure, and so on. So with the use of cloud computing technologies, organizations can ensure quality control and make their products scalable, modular, and collaborative. Cloud computing is totally based on the internet, and it is the next stage technology that uses cloud to provide the services wherever and whenever the user needs it. So it provides a method to access the resources worldwide. So this was a quick definition of cloud computing. Now, the next important question is, what are the benefits of cloud computing? Why at all you should prefer cloud computing? So cloud computing helps all the users avail of more extensive network of global web servers. So this directly increases or gives a boost to the productivity and the performance of the web platform and makes the development efficient in terms of cost and time. So cloud computing also increments the data storage and the data backup capacities of the web servers. So due to the increased interaction between different web servers, the main important benefits of cloud computing are, as you can see on the screen, data backup and storage of data, powerful server capabilities, incremented productivity and efficiency as well. So very cost effective and time saving. And in cloud computing, you can use software as a service. So what is software as a service? We will see that in the later part of this session. So these were some of the benefits of using cloud computing. The next question is, what do you mean by cloud delivery models? So guys, cloud delivery models are the models that represents the computing environments. And these computing environments are, as you can see on the screen, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. So if you talk about infrastructure as a service, so this is the delivery of services including operating system, storage, networking, and various other utility software elements on request basis. So just to give you an example of infrastructure as a service, so there are various examples of infrastructure as a service such as AWS, like Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud Platform, and Microsoft Azure. So these are the cloud service providers, and they basically provide you with the infrastructure for the services that you need from them. Then you have platform as a service. So if you talk about platform as a service, so this is a mechanism for combining infrastructure as a service with an abstracted set of middleware services, software development, and deployment tools. So these allow the organization to have a consistent way to create and deploy applications on a cloud or on-premises environment. And now if you talk about the examples of platform as a service, so here you have AWS Elastic Beanstalk, Google App Engine, Adobe Commerce, and so on. And last but not the least, if you talk about software as a service, so this is a business application created and hosted by the cloud provider in a multi-tenant model. So just to give you an example of software as a service, so here you have Gmail, Slack, Microsoft Office 365. So these are the softwares as a service models. So let's move to the next question. And the next question is, what are the characteristics of cloud architecture that separates it from traditional one? So the characteristics that makes cloud architecture above or superior to the traditional architecture is that, according to the demand, cloud architecture provides the hardware requirement. Then cloud architecture is capable of scaling the resources on demand. And after this, cloud architecture is capable of managing and handling dynamic workloads without failure. So these are some of the features, or you can say the characteristics of cloud architecture that makes it better or superior than the traditional architectures. The next question is, who are the cloud service providers in a cloud ecosystem? So cloud service providers are the commercial vendors or companies that create their own capabilities. The commercial vendors sell their services to cloud consumers. So in contrast to this, a company might decide to become an internal cloud service provider to its own partners, employees, and customers, either as an internal service or as a profit center. So cloud service providers also create applications or services for such environments. The next question is, what are the component layers found in the cloud architecture? So guys, there are various component layers that are found in the cloud architecture, such as cloud controller or CLC. Then you have Walrus, cluster controller, storage controller, and the node controller. So if you talk about cloud controller or CLC, so this sits at the topmost layer and controls the virtual resources like servers, network, and storage. If you talk about Walrus, so it acts as a storage controller for users and deals with the virtual machine images and user data. The cluster controller controls the execution of all the virtual machines stored on the nodes. After this, the storage controller handles the storage in block form that is dynamically attached to the virtual machines. And last but not the least, the node controller controls the functionality of the hypervisor that controls the VM activities. So the hypervisor is a hardware supported emulation technique that allows multiple operating systems to run on the same host operating system. So this is also called virtual machine manager. The next important question is, what are some popular use cases for cloud computing? So guys, there are various popular use cases for cloud computing. So use cases here means the areas of application. So cloud computing can be used in various areas or domains such as cloud storage, big data analytics, test and development, disaster recovery, and data backup. So if you talk about cloud storage, so storage over the internet through a web interface turned out to be a boon. So with the advent of cloud storage, customers could only pay for the storage that they require. So from Google Drive to more privately operated proprietary applications. So cloud storage is basically everywhere. If you talk about big data analytics, so big data and cloud go hand in hand and essentially make systems faster, scalable, fail-safe, high performance, and cheaper. If you talk about test and development, so cloud provides ready-to-use, customized, and fully set up resources. So it offers the infrastructure for the testing and development of applications and services without the downside of installing and maintaining the on-premise resources, servers, and the environment. If you talk about disaster recovery, so data recovery is cheaper and faster in cloud computing. So since a cloud ideally stores data on many different servers in different locations, the probability of complete data loss is completely reduced. And now if you talk about data backup, so data backup is more effortless and comes with security and availability of resources. So the older backup strategies had loopholes with the physical disk getting corrupted or running out of stock. The next question is, what is the difference between cloud computing and mobile computing? So mobile computing and cloud computing are slightly different concepts. So basically mobile computing uses the concept of cloud computing, whereas cloud computing provides users with data which they require, while in mobile computing, applications run on the remote server and this gives the user access for storage and management. The next question is, what are the security aspects provided with cloud? So basically, there are three key security aspects that are provided with cloud, such as identity management, access control, and authentication and authorization. So if you talk about identity management, so it authorizes the application services. Next, you have the access control. So here, the permission has to be provided to the user so that they can control the access of another user who is entering into the cloud environment. And if you talk about authentication and authorization, so this allows only the authorized and authenticated user to access the data and the applications. The next important question is, what is the difference between scalability and elasticity? So scalability is a characteristic of cloud computing, which is used to handle the increasing workload by increasing in proportion amount of resource capacity. So by the use of scalability, the architecture provides on-demand resources if the requirement is being increased by the traffic. Whereas if you talk about elasticity, so this is a characteristic which provides the concept of commissioning and decommissioning of large amount of resource capacity dynamically. So it is measured by the speed by which the resources are coming on demand and the usage of the resources. The next question is, what do you know about the multi-cloud strategy? So the strategy dictates to not rely completely on a single cloud service provider and distribute the traffic among multiple cloud service providers. So different functionalities can be leveraged from different cloud providers, and this reduces the work from one particular provider. So this helps in increasing independence and lowers the risk of failure in case the provider faults or there occurs a traffic overload. So multi-cloud comes in use as a design to govern from a single access point over multiple cloud architecture. So it can be as simple as a portal to overlook all the clouds and their functionality. The next question is, what are the basic types of data centers? So guys, there are basically two types of data centers. The first one is the containerized or high density data centers. Then you have the low density data centers. So if you talk about the high density data centers, so these are faster, but they take more power and generate heating issues as well. Apart from this, it is also cheaper for the customer. And now if you talk about low density data centers, so here servers are placed some distance apart in a low density data center. That is why the name is given as low density. So due to more spaces between two servers, heating is never a problem here. The next question is, what is a cloud VPN? So cloud VPN helps companies transition their VPN services to the cloud. So there are basically two types of VPN services that are available. The first one is the remote access and the second one is site-to-site connection. So VPN appliance is installed on site in a company network in a site-to-site connection. So this appliance connects to a virtual VPN endpoint in the cloud. The VPN results in a tunnel between the cloud and the enterprise. So this connection doesn't need the public IP address and acts similar to a physical connection. If you talk about remote access, so this enables users to connect to machines located elsewhere globally. So in connection logic, users install VPN software on their machines and connect to the cloud VPN. So the cloud VPN forwards the connection to the concerned software as a service application or a SaaS application. The next question is, what is hypervisor in cloud computing and what are their types? So hypervisor is a virtual machine monitor which manages resources for virtual machines. So there are basically two types of hypervisor. The first one is the type 1. So here the guest virtual machine runs directly over the host hardware. And if you talk about the example of type 1 hypervisor, so here you have Zen, VMware, ESXi. And now if you talk about the type 2 hypervisor, so here the guest virtual machine runs over the hardware through a host operating system. So here the examples of type 2 hypervisor are KVM, Oracle VirtualBox. The next question is, what is the use of APIs in cloud service? So guys, application programming interfaces or APIs are very useful in the cloud platforms. So first, it eliminates the need to write the full-fledged programs and it provides the instructions to make the communication between one or more application, and it allows easy creation of applications and link the cloud service with other systems. So these are some of the benefits, or you can say the advantages of using APIs in the cloud services. The next question is, what is meant by edge computing and how it is related to cloud? So unlike cloud computing, edge computing is all about the physical location and the issues related to latency. So cloud and edge are complementary concepts combining the strengths of a centralized system with the advantages of distributed operations at the physical location where things and people connect. So edge is very common in IoT scenarios and is very different from the cloud. So cloud has never been about location. In fact, it has always been about the independence of location. So that's why private, public, hybrid, and all of these terms exist in cloud. There are many edge scenarios, but one of the most popular ones is where you have cloud and edge together, and the cloud provider like Amazon with Greengrass controls, runs, and defines the architecture for what is out at the edge. So edge and cloud are complementary part of a broader concept, which is nothing but the distributed cloud. So while there has been some confusion around these terms, a greater understanding is happening at the majority of those pursuing edge computing strategies are now viewing edge as a part of their overall cloud strategy. The next important question is, what is cloud native? So you can call something cloud native if it is created to leverage the characteristics of cloud computing. So those cloud architectures are the part of the original definition of cloud computing. So it's all about the capabilities delivered as a service that is scalable and elastic, metered by use, service-based, ubiquitous by means of internet technologies, and shared. So sometimes people will trade off one or more of this. For example, sharing can be problematic for some, and they may accept less elasticity as a result of not enabling sharing. The next question is, what is distributed cloud? So the distributed cloud may be defined as the distribution of public cloud services to different physical locations. So they are specifically used to meet various kinds of compliance needs and performance requirements. So in contrast, operation, governance, updates, and the evolution of services are the responsibility of originating public cloud provider. So distributed cloud computing is a style of cloud computing where the location of the cloud service is a critical component of the model. So distributed cloud supports the tethered and the untethered operation of like for like cloud services from the public cloud distributed out to specific and varied physical location. So this enables an essential characteristic of distributed cloud operation, which is nothing but low latency compute, where the two compute operations for the cloud services are closer to those who need the capabilities. The next important question is, what is EUCALYPTUS in cloud computing and why it is used? So EUCALYPTUS is an acronym for Elastic Utility Computing Architecture for linking your program to useful systems. So this is an open source software infrastructure in cloud computing, and it is used to implement clusters in cloud computing platform. So it creates public, private, and hybrid cloud. So it facilitates a user to create his own data center into a private cloud and use its functionalities to many different other organizations. The next question is, explain system integrators in cloud computing. So system integrator provides a strategy of a complicated process used to design a cloud platform. So it creates more accurate hybrid and private cloud network because the integrator have all the knowledge about the data center creation. The next question is, how does resource replication takes place in cloud computing? So resource replication is the creation of multiple instances of the same IT resource. So it is typically performed when an IT resource availability and performance are needed to be enhanced. The virtualization technology is adopted to implement the resource replication mechanism in order to replicate the cloud-based IT resources. The next question is, what do you mean by rate limiting? So rate limiting is a way to limit the network traffic. So rate limiting runs within the app rather than the server. So it typically tracks the IP addresses and the time between each request. So it can eliminate certain suspicious and malicious activities. So bots that impact a website can also be stopped by rate limiting. So this protects against API overuse, which is important to prevent. The next question is, what is meant by encapsulation in cloud computing? A container is a packaged software code along with all of its dependencies so that it can run consistently across clouds and on premises. So this packaging of code is often called as encapsulation. So encapsulating code is very important for developers as they don't have to develop code based on each individual environment. The next question is, what are the cloud storage levels? So cloud storage device mechanisms provide common levels of data storage such as files, blocks, datasets, and objects. So if we talk about files, so these are collections of data that are grouped into files that are located in folders. Block is the smallest unit of data that individually is accessible. So it is the lowest level of storage and the closest to the hardware. If you talk about data sets, so data sets are organized into a table-based, delimited or record format. So last but not the least, if you talk about objects, so the data and the associated metadata with it are organized as web-based resources. So each of the above data storage level is associated with a certain type of technical interface. So this interface corresponds to a particular type of cloud storage device and the cloud storage service used to expose its API. The next question is, what are the serverless components in cloud computing? So serverless components in cloud computing allow the building of applications to take place without the complexity of managing the infrastructure. So one can write code over without having provision to a server. So serverless machines take care of virtual machines and container management. So multi-threading, hardware allocating are some of the things that are taken care by the serverless components. The next question is, what are cloud enabling technologies? So there are several areas of technologies that contribute to modern day cloud-based platforms. So these are known as cloud enabling technologies, and some of them are, as you can see on the screen, broadband network and internet architecture, data center technology, modern virtualization technology, web technology, multi-tenant technology, and service technology. The next important question is, what are microservices? So microservice is a process of developing applications that consist of a code that is independent of each other and of the underlying developing platform. So each microservice runs a unique process and communicates through well-defined standardized APIs once created. So these services are defined in the form of a catalog so that developers can easily locate the right service and also understand the governance rules for its usage. Guys, the next important question is, why are microservices important for a true cloud environment? The reason why microservices are so important for a true cloud environment is because of the benefits that it has to offer. So each microservice is built to serve a specific and limited purpose, and hence application development is simplified. So small development teams can then focus on writing code for some of the narrowly defined and easily understood functions. So code changes will be simpler and less complex than with a complex integrated application, making it easier and faster to make changes, whether to fix a problem or to upgrade service with a new requirements. Another benefit of using microservices is the scalability. So scalability makes it easier to deploy an additional instance of a service or change that service as the needs evolve. And last but not the least, microservices are fully tested and validated. So when new applications leverage existing microservices, developers can assume the integrity of the new application without the need for continual testing. The next question is, what is the cloud usage monitor? So the cloud usage monitor mechanism is an autonomous and lightweight software program that is responsible for collecting and processing the IT resource usage data. Cloud usage monitors can exist in different formats depending on what type of usage metrics that are designed to collect and how the usage data needs to be collected. So if you talk about the points that describe three common agent based implementation formats, so here you have monitoring agent, resource agent, and polling agent. The next question is, how does the cloud native computing foundation define cloud native applications? So the cloud native computing foundation gives a clear definition of cloud native, such as container package, dynamically managed, and microservices oriented. So what do you mean by container package? So this means a standard way to package applications that is resource efficient. So by using a standard container format, more applications can be densely packed. Now, if you talk about dynamically managed, so this means a standard way to discover, deploy, and scale up and down the containerized applications. And last but not the least, microservices oriented. So this means a method to decompose the application into a modular, independent service that interacts through the well-defined service contracts. So guys, with this, we have come to the end of this session on cloud computing interview questions. I hope you guys have enjoyed these questions and you have understood whatever points that we have discussed over here. So guys, I wish you all the very best for your upcoming interview and thank you so much for being with us. If at all you have any queries or doubts related to this session, then you can write them in the comment section and my team is here to help you solve all your doubts and queries. So guys, thank you so much for being with us and all the very best.